Hi everyone, this is Melissa from Melissa Made, and today I want to share with you a project that I learned how to do out of Card Maker magazine. It's this edition for this month, the November Card Maker magazine. On page 38 there's something that they made called a Cris-Cross pocket, and I thought these would be really fun for Christmas. And I've made one, this one here, and I thought I'd share with you today how to do this. Sometimes it's easier to watch a video and learn how to do it than try and figure it out from the magazine. So the first thing you have to do is pick out your cardstock, and I'm going to be using a piece of red and black basil textured cardstock, and then I have these two pieces of Christmas paper that I think are from Bo Bunny. This one and this one. You'll also need a way to punch a circle, and I have my nestables here, and then I have scallop nestables too to go on the background, and that's for the little thing on the front here. You'll need some ink and a brick, an acrylic block with your stamps or some kind of stamps. I have ribbon adhesive, and you just need a little bit for the little tab that you put on the card, and also a paper cutter here. And I have some of my favorite, these are new and I'm so excited, My Craft Spot. Kimberly at My Craft Spot just released a new set of clear stamps, and I love her stamps. So this one that I used said, May the wonder of that first Christmas be with you always, and that's from the Merry Christmas set. And I might use the Winter Wonderland set on this since I'm using some cooler tones. I think that's prettier for snow. So if you need some great Christmas or winter stamps, you should check out My Craft Spot. And I'll put the address at the bottom so you can see. And that's what you'll need. So, and also a piece of white paper, you know, to punch out the circle for your sentiment, and some white paper for what goes here. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is cut your piece of cardstock that's going to be like your back and your frame here. You want to cut that piece at a 5.5 by 11 and score it. Okay, and you want two of those, because what you're going to end up doing is pasting the two together to make your crisscross, but this part's pretty easy. So just make a 5.5 square card, basically. And the first thing that you want to do is you want to cut a diagonal off of this card. So from here to here. And this is how I like to do it. I take my paper cutter and I just line up the top corner with the bottom corner using the line on my paper cutter. So line it up, make a quick cut, and there you have kind of a triangle fold. And then you want to do the same thing with your other card that you have, only this time you want the diagonal to be from the bottom left corner to the top right corner, if that makes sense. Again, just line it up, cut it, and now you'll see you have kind of that gatefold look to your card. And what we're going to do is adhere these two pieces so you have something that looks like this. It almost looks like an envelope without the top of the flap there. And again, you started off with a 5.5 square card, and then you just cut angles. On this one you cut from the bottom right to the top left, and on this one you cut from the bottom left to the top right. So now that you have this, the rest is fairly easy. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is take a piece of paper and make this kind of trim that goes behind our pretty pattern paper, and I'm using black for that. And you want to cut that at a 5. You want to cut a 5 1/4 square. So let's cut a 5 1/4 square. then all you're going to do with this piece is just cut it at its angle, just like I showed you before. Where you line up the corners and then just cut it in half, just like this. Again, this is a 5 1/4 square, and you'll see that for your fold, now this is going to fit right on there, leaving a tiny trim, which is really pretty. You can see that. So you've got two pieces, so one will fit on one side and the other fit on the other side. The next thing you want to do is cut your pattern paper. And you're going to cut this down to a 4 3/4. So I'm going to start by cutting it down to 4 3/4. And then I'm going to do the same thing by cutting it at the angle, right in half. And with your pattern paper, you'll be able to make two, so out of one piece, because you won't use both of these patterns, or both of these triangles, I should say. So I line them up and cut them on the diagonal again. And then you'll see that this piece will fit right here on this. Isn't that pretty? So now I'm going to go ahead and cut the next piece of pattern paper down to a 4 3/4. And this time I'm going to leave this side. So I'm going to cut it like this, 4 3/4. And 4 3/4. And then again, just cutting it at the diagonal. Okay, now that's not going to be right because it's for the other side, so I need to cut it this way. You need to pay close attention to that. What side of your card is this pattern going to go on, and what pattern do you want on your card? So make sure you're paying attention to that when you cut papers that aren't exactly symmetrical in their design. So now this part will go on this side of the gatefold card. So now when these get adhered together, it'll look something like this. So now all I'm going to do is put adhesive on and put these together. Okay, now the next thing you want to do is make the insert for your pocket here. Now you'll notice I didn't tape the bottom. You can tape the bottom, but the thing is when you do, you're going to have to like change the size of this. So I decided to do 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. This has already been cut one way at 5 1/4 because I used it for this part. And so now I'm going to go ahead and cut it down to 5 1/4, and you'll see what I'm talking about. If it's sealed at the bottom, this doesn't really fit so well because there's glue at the bottom. This is most likely not going to fall out once you get your ribbon on, and once it's a little bit tighter with the front, unless it gets shook kind of like this. So if you want to, you can put a little bit of glue, maybe just a little tiny glue dot, so that'll still fit in there okay. Again, but the insert is at 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to go ahead and instead of, like on this one I just used 2 pieces, but I think on this one maybe I'll put a pretty pattern and then a piece of white on top. And the pattern will be at a 5 by 5, so this is 5 1/4. The next piece I'll put on will be a 5 by 5, and then I'll go another quarter below that for the next piece. Okay, I've gone ahead and made the insert now for my card, and now I want to finish it off with a pretty embellishment here. And so I'm going to use my nestables and run it through my Cut-A-Bug. And the way I like to do this is I kind of just pick one that I think is going to look nice, that's not too big, but also will add a nice touch. So I'll use this size. And then I like to use a circle. You can see on this one, I like to use a circle that's a little bit smaller than the actual scallop. If I used the bigger one, you would have just barely seen the scallop along the edge. And for this, I like this so you can see more of that pretty green paper below it. So then I'm going to take my circle nestables and find the one that's a little bit smaller, which is not that one. That one's the actual one. So I think this one is the size I'm going to use. So it'll look something like that. And I'll use this in my Cuttlebug and cut it out in white paper. And I'll use this probably in the black or the red. I haven't decided quite yet which I think will look best. Maybe the red. And I'll put that there with the sentiment. And the way I like to do these is I usually will cut out the circle because it's kind of hard to tell with the ridge here how big the circle is going to be. So I'll probably cut it out, and then I'll go and pick one of my stamps here from my craft spot that's actually going to fit like right in there perfectly. Okay, so this is how I finished the little tag on the front. It says, "Have a holly jolly Christmas," and I use these little candy canes, and all of this is from the My Craft Spot Jingle All the Way set. There's these cute little candy canes that come with it and a lot of other really cute little sentiments. So I thought that was pretty. And the last thing I need to do now is just to attach a ribbon on the back of this card. And the way I did that was I used my ribbon adhesive and just attached it to the back like that. You could use staples if your colors are, you know, appropriate for that. And then the last thing I'll do is I'll probably stamp a Merry Christmas at the bottom of the insert like I did on that one, just to add a little, you know, a little extra something. And I think these would be nice to have like a little gift card maybe attached or something like that if you're giving a present, because you have this really pretty card, or maybe even some baker's twine right here and a little bow tied there. Would be another really pretty addition to this card. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and it was easy to follow, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave some. I love to hear them. I also want to tell you that I did add a little glue dot right to the center of this, and that allowed this to still fit in without falling out. So maybe just one little glue dot down at the bottom is perfect to keep your little insert from falling out. Okay, thanks for joining me today, and I hope you have a fabulous week.